That shirt is fancy. Yo, the best.
Making fun of my shirt.
No, I think it's cool.
Remember the story behind the shirt?
I do. Yeah.
Yep.
I was there.
It's a weird day.
They got pie in the face.
They celebrated my transition out of youth ministry by public embarrassment. And this shirt, if you can't read it, says Yoda best youth minister in the galaxy. And it's a beautiful shirt, but the most awful picture of me when I was bald-headed at camp on Yoda, which Yoda's bald kind of, so it makes sense.
It does make sense.
It kind of scares me. But today we're talking about youth ministry, and I was like, I better wear my Yoda best youth minister shirt.
Yoda best youth minister in the galaxy.
Yeah,
Man.
and they gave it to me literally like my last moment as a youth minister. Like, we can't say you're a good youth minister until this moment, but now get out of here.
And then right after they gave you that shirt, they absolutely just destroyed you with pies to the face.
Yep.
The face, the ears, the hair, the back, the chest. It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was painful in more than one way, but I think I liked it. I don't know.
His wife knew it was coming. I knew it was coming, but we didn't tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. That's funny.
Well, your shoes are untied.
I'm wearing Hey Dudes.
Made you look.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of The Burning Out Bush. We are so thrilled that you are listening or watching in a lot of cases, and we just welcome you back. I'm here with my co-host, Rick Grace, the engagement minister here at our congregation at League Street Church of Christ. Rick, what do we got in store today?
Well, go ahead and announce yourself. Who are you?
Oh, yeah. Did I not say I'm Josh Moyer? That's right. No one forgets.
Because he always says first and last name, like we always forgot who he was.
Yeah.
But, this is Josh. And today's all about youth ministry. Yeah.
That's right. I'm actually really excited about this one.
Indeed. We're going to do a two-parter, at least, on youth ministry, because we've both been youth ministers.
That's right.
And it's how we got our feet wet in ministry. Is that the...
Yeah.
I always mix my metaphors and make weird things.
Yep.
So youth ministry is close to our heart. But as we've also talked about, you don't have to be a youth minister to be in ministry.
That's right.
But there's a lot of turnover in the youth ministry world.
There is.
And there's a lot of need for soul care and youth ministry. And so we're going to talk about it for a couple episodes and hear from different voices. Today, I'm excited about is going to be an interview with Arpoika, who's one of your mentors. And
yes.
He's been a blessing since I've known him.
Arpoika Daniels from Seminole, Oklahoma. He is, I'm sure when we start talking in our interview with him, you'll see, I might get emotional. Hope I don't. I don't want to ever tear up in any of these podcasts, but at some point, I'm sure it will happen.
Yeah.
I'm an emotional being. As much as I try to be manly man, I am a teddy bear on some things. Yeah, I do. I cry a lot. I can't even watch a Tide commercial without tearing up. I mean, it's so bad.
Tide?
That's just so random. I know, but that's not true. But
Tide Pods. You probably ate Tide Pods. You're like all those poor.
I did not get into the Tide Pod eating cultural phenomena that happened.
This is a random story, but I remember one time I went into Walmart and this is the worst spatial planning ever. But right in the food, like the frozen food section, they had a Tide Pod demonstration station. And it was like, you guys realize, people are eating these, right? And
was this in Tennessee?
It was in Texas.
Oh. Man, I really had a good joke for that. Tennessee. Okay. Nothing here today, man. I'm excited about this. I think it's going to be a really good time. And by the way, when I started in youth ministry, I did not get my feet wet. I got thrown in the deep end of the pool.
Yeah.
With no guidance on how to do anything. And so I knew it was important for me to latch onto some guys that I had seen and gain some mentorship, which I hope is where we're going to get with a little bit today in our interview with Arpoika coming up. But I mean, real quickly, I want to know what's been your journey in youth ministry. You're just coming from youth ministry into a new role, but you've spent your career in it.
Yeah.
Quickly give us your.
Yeah, I'll quickly go through some of it. We talked about some of this in a previous episode on calling, but I knew I wanted to do ministry, didn't know what kind. Yeah. I got married at 20, and so about the time we were looking for an internship, we were getting married. Yeah. And so very few people everybody wants a married minister, but nobody wants a married intern.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult. I was looking for like a preaching internship, thinking I'd go straight into pulpit ministry or something. I didn't know. Anyway, long story short, there was a great congregation in Peoria, Illinois. Sorry, guys, who was willing to host us for the summer. And so my wife and I went from our honeymoon to living in an elder's basement for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
As newlyweds. And I was their youth minister. It's a small church, and so I was working with the preaching minister, and that was it. We were the staff.
Yeah.
And I was the youth minister for the summer, and it was a really great group, and it was a very easy starting for me for that summer. But it gave me a heart for youth ministry, and then I worked 2 years part-time as I was finishing up at college at a really tiny, smallest church I've been a part of, about 30 to 40 members, and a youth group of 3. And I was their youth minister for 2 years, teaching classes, trying to do events and activities. And that was a really hard 2 years, but I learned so much. And I think it gave me some stamina to not be so, I don't know, focused on numbers or stuff like that. And anyway, then I came to Texas and been here for over 10 years. Did youth ministry in Texas for about 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. Can I get on my soapbox about something?
Sure.
You said something in there about everyone wants to hire a married minister or preacher, but no one wants to hire a married intern. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be on my soapbox about something. I'm going to make it brief and quick.
All right.
Okay. If you go through, you go through some of these job boards that some of the colleges post, or in our faith, we have the Christian Chronicle. Mm-hmm. The churches that are putting ads into those things and saying, hey, we need a full-time this, that, and the other. Yeah. It annoys the fire out of me that almost every single one of them say, when it gets to requirements, we require a married man with children.
Yeah.
Stop. There are so many guys that may not be married yet, but are good speakers, and they know the word, and and I'm going to be completely honest. They say we're in a minister shortage. Yeah. You don't get the luxury of doing that anymore, especially in youth ministry. I promise you, congregations, you are missing out on really good guys because of that stipulation.
And I mean, putting it in a job posting like that is actually illegal. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
it's not a good practice.
Yeah.
And as a minister, we read that and we see, okay, so you want my wife to be a freebie. You expect my family to carry double the load that everybody else is doing. And so it has some subtext there that's not always good.
If the meaning behind it is, we want a family guy because we have a lot of young families and he can relate, and that's awesome. Yep. I'm okay with that. But at least interview. Here's some of these guys out that have a lot to offer. And some have gotten really good at using language to get around that. We prefer someone married with children. But right off the bat, when I see that, I want to know, is my family going to be a part of this ministry, or is my family just a young family that they can add to the number?
Yep. And I mean, the problem is, and the reason we're talking about this is there are a lot of ministers, especially youth ministers, who are burning out. Yep. Who weren't prepared or didn't expect the pressure or just the new challenges in this generation. And so there's a need for more ministers. Yeah. And I think paying attention to how we care for our ministers, especially our youth ministers in these next couple of generations, is going to be really, really important.
And how cool would it be to have a guy that you can grow with? Like, he's not married, but he comes and he's doing the work there with you, teaming up with you, and he finds the one. Yeah. They get married and they have their children with your congregation. I mean, it literally becomes their home. Yep. I think that's just something we really miss out on just because we're so focused. But enough of my soapbox. This will happen more than once, I'm sure, throughout the deal. And Rick's used to me jumping up on him, but this is me helping you. That's why I'm trying to do this. Yes. So, but just real quickly, we shared this even on our first episode when we talked about ourselves, kind of our stories too. But youth ministry was something or ministry in general was something I never thought I'd be doing. I wanted to be a teacher and coach. And that was kind of my goal from the time I was young. Had great coaches in my life, and I wanted to just be able to do that. I love sports, and I think I said this exact line on our first episode. God said, "Oh yeah, you're going to teach and coach, all right, but you're going to do it the way that I want you to do it." And so I'm sitting at the bank one day, bored out of my mind, thinking about joining the military, and that didn't work out. I go home that night, living with some friends that I went to high school with, and elder slash preacher at the church that I grew up at calls me and says, "Hey, we want you to get involved with our teenagers, and not for free. We want to help some way in that." And so in my mind, initially, I was like, that'd be cool. I don't know that I'm qualified. Why would he call me of all people? That's weird. And so there was a lot of honesty in that. And then I thought, even then, well, this could be a job until I get to reach my goals. And lo and behold, you just fall in love with it. I mean, it is hard not to love youth ministry. You just have youth ministry wrapped up with none of the other stuff, the noise around it, just being with the kids. And that is amazing. But we're not prepared for the stuff that comes with it. And that's what we're going to get into today with our guests. So, you want to jump right into it?
Let's do it.
All right. At this moment, we're going to bring in our guest, Arpoika Daniels. All right. We want to welcome in our guest at this time, Arpoika Daniels from Seminole, Oklahoma. How are you doing, Arpoika?
Great. How about you guys?
Oh, we are doing amazing. Just to kind of give a brief introduction, at least from what I know, because you were looking at the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that has raised me in this. So if there's anything you don't like, those are qualities I got from him.
We got some issues then, because this guy.
So when we were talking with Clay Bryant, we talked about how he's one of the first calls I made when I got in the ministry. Arpoika is the first call. When my elders asked me to, quit what I was doing at the bank and join the church and help with their teenagers, I had already been to several area-wide teen gatherings. I had seen him talk. I saw his energy, and I was like, man, I want to know that guy, get to know him. And he picked up the call the first time I called him and invited me to camp right off the bat. And I've always wanted to ask him if he's regretted that decision going 16 years ago. No, it's been amazing. And there's a relationship in Scripture, Paul and Timothy, and I can honestly say that we are looking at my Paul right now. He has raised me in this. He has loved on me and been emotional support for me, and he's told me to shut up. And he's
Arpoika's over there thinking, and you've been a John Mark for me.
Man, we're just glad to have you on, and it means a lot to me that he's never told me no, and I'm spoiled. I knew before I even asked him to come on, he was going to say yes. But anyway, I got a funny story before we get into him. He invites me, first conversation, he's like, "Hey, we're going to camp such and such week in June." And he's like, "We want you guys, at the end, my first stop, New Walla Church of Christ, shout out New Walla." He said, "We're going to camp, want you guys to be a part of it. Come meet with us." And I think we went to Old Chicago. And I'm sitting there next to him at the table. There's probably 6 or 7 youth guys there. And 6, 7, yeah. And then I said, "How do you think people are gonna, react to me having a few tattoos?" And without skipping a beat, he said, "No one says anything about my boyfriend." And I'm serious. Everyone at the table starts laughing. And it was at that moment I was like, I called the right guy. Like, I'm gonna be okay in this.
I don't know that I would tell that story everywhere we go, but
just went for it.
Yeah. No, man. Yeah, no, it's been a blast for me. I hope the same for you. But when we put this together and we're talking about interviewing people for the youth ministry thing, there's one guy that we have to have. So if we have to have part 2 of this thing, we'll do a part 2. But I want Arpoika to go on here. We're talking to a guy that's got 36 years of full-time ministry experience. So that's not counting the years that he did it for free. And in my opinion, you'd be hard pressed to find a better just overall minister, let alone someone who loves youth. You're still working with the youth at Seminole, and those kids absolutely adore him. There's not very many men that can. Youth ministry is a lot like sports. At some point, a lot of people just kind of reach their limit, and I ask all the time, like, how can he continue to do this with the energy he's doing? It's just really, really impressive. So, but Poka, tell us a little bit about yourself, and people are gonna right off the bat like, what's his name? Arpoika. So you might explain that too. But yeah, just tell us who you are, about yourself, married, and what all you've done.
Yep. Well, married, have a lot of kids, and they're all over the place. Next week, we get to go see my baby who's in the Army, and he gets out. We're going to Georgia to pick him up, bring him back so he can get in his car and head to Kansas to be based up there at Fort Riley for the next few years. So nice. You guys, I'm proud of him. We're very proud of him, but you might keep him in your prayers, as all of our young men and ladies that are serving.
Absolutely.
I feel that that's a great thing as well to do. So I'm proud of them. And my wife, Holly, she's probably the one that keeps everything in line.
There is no doubt about that.
I am all over the place, and she is the one who keeps everything, the house, grounded, I guess, if you could say. But been all over the place in my life. Arpoika is Muskogee Creek, means white horse. I got the Irish from my dad, not the Indian from my mom. People all the time tell me, you're not Indian. Yes, I am. And so I have to open my wallet and pull out, so you see I'm card carrying.
That's right.
So it's part of my heritage, and I love that, being from Oklahoma, being an Okie.
Yeah.
We are native, and so there's a lot of things. The kingdom is made up of so many different people and different everything, ethnicities and all. And that's one of the things that I love about the church is we have so many different people around the world, but right here in our community,
yep.
We have kids of all different backgrounds, and they know that I don't care what color your skin is. That absolutely matters not. Never has, and it never will.
That's right.
And I laugh when I tell them stories like that. So you realize that Jesus wasn't white.
Yeah.
And they're going, what? Yeah. He was not white, blonde-headed, blue-eyed, like you see pictures.
Yeah.
That is not what Jesus looked like.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right.
So not that matters what he looked like, but
he'd probably be profiled at airport security.
Yes, he probably would. And so it's just funny that you can tell real life stories with kids, and they don't know Jesus until you really make it personal.
Yeah.
He is who he is, and God chose to bring him into this world the way he did, and we can learn from those things as well.
Yeah.
So just a little about me. Like I said, I only have one grandson, and he's with me every week. I'll get him tonight.
Yep.
He's like, no, I'm going to Papaw's Bible class, because I'm not missing Bible class. And luckily we have some super ladies out here that teach that he just absolutely adores. And so that's the night he decides to stay with me, is on Wednesday nights, because he is not missing Bible study out here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've been in ministry 36 years. Right now you're the pulpit minister at Seminole Church Christ in Seminole, Oklahoma. But you still wear the hat of youth minister. There were a few years in there you had to put up with annoying youth minister, myself. But other than that, you've still been so connected to youth. Even when I was there as the youth minister at Seminole, I had you involved. You're still going to camp with us. You've always been the guy at camp, and so you've just been around youth ministry regardless of what your position or title is. But I guess the first question is, what was it about youth ministry, or what was it that was early on in your career, or when you were starting, you were like, I want to be a youth minister? Tell us a little bit about your journey. What drew you to serve young people like you have for so many years?
Well, I was thinking about it not all that long ago, looking back over my time and thinking all the way back to the time I was in the youth group, even before I got into a youth group. And going to camp. And I remember the first year at it was either 9 or 10 when I was old enough to go to camp for the first time. And I knew I was, a lot of kids are not ready to go do that. Some are. I'd been ready. I'd heard the stories. I'd seen some of it. And luckily, when I went, I just absolutely fell in love. This is where I wanted to be. Anytime that the doors were open, my mom and dad had me there. My dad had me at the building. If we were helping work outside or if we were going to mow lawns for some of our elderly members, there was always a family thing. And I saw that and I thought, boy, this is what I want. And then there were men named Connie and Ron and some of these guys from the East Side congregation of Midwest City who taught my Bible classes and were my counselors at camp. And I looked at those men and they were always constantly encouraging to be something different. You don't have to act like, be like, but it was never a hateful, it's them against us kind of thing. It was just, hey, we just want to be the right kind of people. They were not in ministry full time. They just loved the church and they loved the kids. And I saw something in them that just made me want to be there. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to have a few elders who were constantly encouraging me, even from early, to go down and help in the cradle roll and with VBS. And most of the time I didn't go to the youth classes at VBS week. I was down with the little kids and I helped raise my nephews and nieces. And so I was changing diapers or whatever. And they didn't have very many teenage boys coming down to help that were willing to do that in Bible class. So I did it. And when I turned 16, the elders called me into a meeting one night and said, we want you to start teaching a class. And I'm thinking, well, I've been helping with VBS. So, all right. No. We want you to teach a new converts class for teenagers. Oh, wow. I said, oh, what? Wait a minute. I'm only 16. They're like, no, we want you to do this. Here's what we want you to teach. Here are the subject matters. These are the things that we want you to do. And they gave me the tools. They went with me. They encouraged me. And I was like, wow, this kind of blew my mind that 16, they're wanting me to go in and share some things. And so they saw something, obviously, that maybe I didn't see or had no idea or plans that this is the direction I was going to go. But I guess the biggest thing was even Dale Hartman was a mentor of mine for most of my life. Those men in my life. But I had a youth minister when youth ministry wasn't a thing. Gary Grady was the best youth minister. I mean, best guy I could ever dream of having in my life. And man, I mean, we did everything. He took me on road trips. If he was going somewhere, we went on mission trips, knocked doors out of state. He took me with him. We went to recruit things. Whatever it was he was doing, he'd say, come on, go with me. I'm like, okay. Constantly challenging. Who are you going to be? What are you going to be? Why do you believe what you're believing? Hey, you can ask any question you want to ask. There's nothing off limits. You're in a safe place. Ask it. And so I looked at those men and among a lot of the ladies too, in our church, but they just kept encouraging, there's something you need to be thinking about. Where are you going to go for the rest of your life? What are you going to be doing? And so it's always in the back of my mind what I wanted to do. And I thought I had my life laid out, got out of high school, going to college, started working at a bank. And the president of the bank was like, well, we want you as soon as you're done, we're going to get you an office. We're going to start you over here. You're going to do this. Taught me everything about the bank. I mean, I knew every department. I was good at math. I thought, oh, this is my future. And I'm going to get to toy with youth ministry, go to camp when I want and things like that. But I had someone, I remember a question was, what do you do with your life? And after you finish talking, and he says, okay, now what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And he said, I'm praying for you. I'm like, what are you praying for me for? Well, that ate at me long enough until finally I went, you know what? I need to get into this full time. I need to quit doing the things that I'm doing and step up and actually make this what I'm about, everything about my life. This is what I want to do. And so I look back and are there things that you would change? Certainly. But are there regrets of being in ministry? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been way more blessed, I feel, than I've ever been a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't judge that, but I have a lot of good friends and things that I look back and go, man, I would have never known Josh had it not been ministry, but I would have never known a lot of people that are in ministry now that I helped encourage, maybe the way I was encouraged, I hope, and still young people today that I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I tell them now, hey, have you ever thought about someday being a youth minister?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not the colleges or universities that are turning out youth ministers.
Mm.
If we wait on them to do it, it's going to be an epic failure. And if it's not us doing it, if it's not us encouraging all the Timothys coming up,
Mm-hmm.
then where are they going to come from?
Mm.
And so I'm just grateful that there's a lot of guys in ministry that love youth ministry,
Yep.
that love that aspect of ministry and are willing to encourage some young people to get into it.
Right.
Because, at 18, 19, 20, or even 22, 23, we're not ready for it.
Yep.
I mean, we're ready to do it. We love it. But, man, you're not ready for the avalanche is getting ready to cover you up. If we're not the ones there and they don't already have that relationship, boy, it's hard. It's like asking someone to become an elder who's never done any shepherding.
Yep.
Boy, you've just piled on them something that they're not ready for. They cannot begin to comprehend what that is all about.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I can say to you, and I don't know if I've said this enough to you, but I don't know that I'm sitting here recording this podcast with Rick talking to you here if not for you. Arpoika has man, I didn't expect to feel that way. He's talked me off the ledge so many times. There were days and nights that I wanted to quit doing what I'm doing, and he has always been just a great cheerleader. So you have definitely been a blessing in my life, more than you could ever know. And I was thinking when you were talking, I grew up in the same situation as far as my congregation. We always had a big youth group, but we didn't have the money to pay a guy. So it was a collection of guys. And then even when I was younger, for small church culture, youth ministry really wasn't a thing for a lot of people. It was understood that if you had a congregation of 200 or more, you were going to have a youth minister, but anything other than that, there just really wasn't a lot. And so, you were talking about the guys that you remember, and it's just amazing how we can remember the guys that have had impact on our lives, even though it's 20, 30, 40 years later. I remember, Ryan Swartz, and I remember Josh Turner, and, all the guys that filled in and taught our classes when we were young. And you did hit on something. I think that the best youth ministers, in my opinion, have seen guys before they even think about it in college, that, you establish a relationship with someone. You're like, I want to do that when I get older. So yeah, I do agree. I think the spark for a lot of guys is sparked when they're under the tutelage of their current youth minister. And Rick, and Rick will share on this, but when I first got here to Leak Street a year and a half ago, it was, this kid's going to Harding, this kid's going to Harding, this kid's going to Harding, and they all want to be youth ministers, and that has a lot to do with the kind of youth minister that they had in Rick. So I think you touched on something well there. I do think our colleges and stuff, have their place, but the inspiration, I believe, has to come before they get there. So that was a great thing on that. Rick, do you have something?
I was going to say, yeah, like we've got to do a better job at raising up more ministers from the churches, and I've known some people who have all of the right ingredients of a great minister, and their parents talk them out of it. Yeah. And that's got to stop for the sake of the church.
I know.
Yeah, you are signing your kid up for some heartache and some maybe financial difficulties or different seasons where life is harder, but it's worth it, you know,
Yeah.
and it's a bigger thing.
Yeah. Just to note, I almost cried on my first episode there, but I held it back. I was able to keep the tears in there for a minute.
I'll add in the tears digitally.
Yeah, but the eyes were getting red. I had to take a second there.
Yeah.
But Poca knows what he means to me. I mean, I've told him, but I need to tell him more. When I say the Paul and Timothy thing, he is definitely that to me. God has been so good to me through this journey with putting the right guys in. I mean, I moved to Wyoming several years ago to start my preaching journey. I wanted to get away from everything that I knew, and just, if I was going to leave youth ministry and start heading towards the pulpit, I wanted to just kind of go off on my own. And this guy drove back and forth to Wyoming 5 times probably. He helped me move up there. He came up there and helped me with VBS stuff. And when I was ready to come back and make my mark, in the area I grew up, he drove his rear end up there and brought me back down. I mean, who does that? I mean, that's for a young guy. And I know we will say this a lot through our podcast, but if you're a young guy and you're getting into ministry and the first thing you didn't do was find a mentor, you're going to be in trouble. I'm just telling you from experience. You've got to be humble enough to say, I'm ignorant of this. I have the passion for it and I have the energy. I just need someone to show me how to place it. And you've got to go find yourself an Arpoika. I mean, every person needs a mentor, and more than one if you can find it. I feel like I've had 2 or 3 of those that have been so important to me in my journey. And so, young guys, if you're watching, listening, if you're starting in this and you haven't called someone even in the area that maybe you don't know, find them.
There's so many great networks to connect. And, they say that youth ministers are the most connected ministers, and then like preachers and children's ministers are less, but elders are the least connected, which is another issue.
Yeah.
But youth ministers lean into that network,
yes,
and that group of peers that you have access to, because that was the life-saving thing for my ministry, was having peers. When I didn't have mentors, I at least had peers.
Yep.
But then I learned that even the people who were my age, I could look up to.
That's right.
And so, mentors are great. Arpoika, if you had one piece of advice for a young minister who is just starting in youth ministry, and particularly about longevity and avoiding burnout, what would that advice be for him?
I should have brought my pen and paper.
You guys just stole everything that I was thinking about. There's a reality in ministry, and I don't know that the academia teaches this reality. And the reality is, you are going to be on an island by yourself a lot of times. And if you do not have that person or people that you have chosen to put in your life, you're going to be alone. And there's going to be some really dark days and times. And so, to echo the things that you both were just saying, this is exactly what I would set them down and say, I want you to understand something. Typically, I'm not blasting all preachers in the world, but the stereotypical preacher does not have time for the youth minister. And that is just the way it's been. Now, they are good bosses. They tell you when you should be in the office and all those kinds of things. But do they really grab a hold and say, hey, come here, I want to help you with something? And this has just been my experience.
Yeah.
Okay. And, I first got in full-time youth ministry. I was going to preachers' luncheons, and it was a big preachers' luncheon. Okay. And I don't know how many guys were there, 30, 40 of them. And after several months, they said, you know what, we would really like for you to come and speak to us and tell us what youth ministers are doing for the church in the 90s. Now, this was like in 92. Okay. And I'm like, okay. So I work on all this. I just found my notes from this, 30 plus years ago.
Wow.
Some pages off of a legal pad that I had written out, and I got over to the meeting and I walked in and I said, okay, so you want me to do this or this? And anyway, he said, well, we'll get into the meeting, and then we're going to give you some time, and you'll have, you'll probably have about 5 minutes. And I went, 5 minutes? You want me to talk about youth ministry for 5 minutes? And here's what's going on in the back of my head, okay? The week before, there was a preacher who was talking about, say this as tactfully as I can, growing their church and how wonderful their congregation was and beautiful and all this thing. And the reality, he spent almost 45 minutes talking about their building burning to the ground, and they had a good enough insurance policy that they were able to rebuild their church building. That's all he said for 45 minutes. Mm. And I'm thinking, okay, you can talk for 45 minutes about rebuilding a building with insurance money, but you want me to talk about the youth in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I thought this was the stereotypical conversation in the preacher's luncheons. And another preacher one day said something about being on vacation with his wife. And again, the names don't really matter, but I'm sitting there listening, and they're like, well, where did you go? And so he's talking about their vacation, and, well, where did you worship while you were gone? And, well, there was this congregation in this place, and we visited there. And he said, so how did that go? He goes, well, surprisingly, there was a young preacher there, and he was really a really good speaker. And one of the other men said, isn't that one of them there oxymorons, good and young? And this went on and on and on through this meeting. These preachers are all over central Oklahoma. And I finally, this is my youthfulness in me, stood up and said, I want to tell you guys something. This is the problem with the church right now. These young men are begging and pleading, wanting you all to work with them in their life. And all you can do is stand here, sit here, and badmouth them. You don't invite them here. You don't encourage them. And I said, I know several young preachers that can preach circles around any one of you at this table. And you have the opportunity to help them move in a direction that is so powerful for this kingdom, and you all are refusing to do that. And so, I'm not trying to be negative on preachers in any way. That's not what I'm trying to do. But if I'm sitting here talking to a youth minister, I'm telling them there's a reality.
Yeah.
And you may get to a congregation where your preacher is the preacher, and he doesn't want to deal with the youth. He doesn't see a necessity for him to be immersed into that culture, if you will. And I'm going to say the same thing. You watch somebody, go places and listen, and then make some phone calls. It doesn't even have to be in your congregation, because the likelihood of you going to a new position at a congregation you've never been at before and immediately finding someone is not good.
Yeah.
You will eventually by building relationships, but before you do that, find some people that you respect. Watch how they interact with their family, their own family, their wives, with their children, with their jobs, whatever it is. They don't even have to be ministers. I mean, it'd be great to do that, but find some adult men that are grounded deeply in the faith, that you can go and sit down and they will pray with you, they will talk to you, and they will be blunt with you and say, that's probably not the best decision you can make.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you, you have the right. We have the right to eat meat, as Paul said, but do we need to eat meat? Do we have to? We're going to give up our rights sometimes to do what is right and what is best. And so find that mentor or mentors that you can ask deep questions of.
Yeah.
And that they're going to pray for you. They're going to tell you, you don't need to be doing that. That is not okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you where that's going to lead you. I'll be blunt with you. This is where it's going to go.
Yeah.
You keep doing this or thinking this way, this is where it will lead you.
Right.
And that reality of ministry is you have got to do this not on your own,
Yeah.
but God is going to providentially lead you. Open your eyes and listen to him. And he will guide you and put the right people in your life if you're truly seeking that. And you're praying, God, I need this in my life. I need this man. I need this couple. I need these people. Help me find them.
Yep.
And we'll do it.
Yep. And you got to be humble enough. If you're seeking a mentor, you have to go into it with the thought, I'm willing to eat some humble pie. I'm willing to take my licks. I'm open enough to admit that I could be wrong. Those are all of the things that you need to take into account, because if you're not willing to do those things, finding a mentor is just not going to work for you. Mm-hmm. In the middle of a master's class, we were in a leadership class, and we talked about this very thing: is when you find yourself in a leadership role, you need to be willing to leave room that says you could be wrong about this. Because if we're overconfident, if we have this thought in our head, well, I'm 98% sure that I'm right, then when you are wrong, you're not going to be able to make an adjustment. So you have to go into this mentor thing, which, by the way, is about as scriptural, biblical as you can get as far as partnerships go.
Yep.
And so, yeah, you have to be willing to say, okay, no matter if I'm told wrong or told that I'm doing something the wrong way, they're doing this for me, not, in spite of me, I guess is the way to say it. So,
yeah. Well, let's keep moving. I'm going to skip a question, come back to it. Keeping it on youth ministry for a minute. Despite all the challenges and all of the things that youth ministers these days are facing, what gives you hope for the future of youth ministry?
I started watching this resurgence, if you will, of kids asking questions because they want to know some truth.
Yeah.
And it's not, I heard this man talking about his own child, and he's full-time ministry, raising his son. And this kid saying it, I think he was 14 or 15 years old, said, I don't even believe in God. And it's like, what have I done? How have I failed? And so through conversation, and then this is happening all over the place. Well, we're teaching them about where to find something in the Bible, which is wonderful. I believe that we need to understand that and grasp that there's truth. But if we haven't introduced them to who God is and actually start, man, there is so much that God speaks to us from outside of Scripture. I mean, look at this world, science, and, we're so afraid to tell our kids things that they need to hear. No, our public schools, sorry, I've got a lot of friends that are in public education. Across the board, public education is failing our children miserably. Mm-hmm. And they're not teaching them critical thinking skills. They're not teaching them when you get up in the morning to think for yourself. And so when I see kids are going, no, I want to know the truth. I want to ask, what is this? And so our young men and our ladies, all of them, asking tough questions. And I think that seeing that's going to help them, guide them, direct them into being able to share the gospel in ways maybe that we haven't been doing in a long time.
Yeah.
And so we have so many things going against our kids. What does gender mean? And we see things that politics are not supposed to be in the church. Well, I'm sorry, but we've allowed godless people to define what politics are. Mm-hmm. And our kids are tired of it. Yep. They're tired of listening to it. Yep. And it's like, let me tell you what politics are. Politics are human ideologies, not biblical. And if there is anything discussed in Scripture, it's not politics. And quit making it politics. So I don't know, that's kind of a weird idea or thought maybe in my head, but I think that there's truth seekers now that we have an opportunity to teach our young people truth that will actually ground them in such a powerful way that they're going to want to go out and tell their friends. They're not going to be quiet in classes anymore
Right.
or college campuses. They're not going to do that. Well, they're coming in droves, and a lot of those are not even believers yet, but they're seeking truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I see there's a young generation coming up that, man, if we empower our young youth ministers to do this, wow,
Yeah.
what an army they're going to have.
Yeah. I would encourage people to just spend some time and go look at some of the research that they're doing right now as far as Gen Z and Gen Alpha, these new generations that are, I'm a millennial, Rick's a millennial. But go, I would encourage our listeners, our watchers to go look up some of the data regarding Gen Z and Gen Alpha. It will absolutely just blow your mind at how they're coming to know Jesus in just rates that haven't been seen in quite some time. I mean, you have public universities like Ohio State that are selling out their football arena so that Christians can go and pray and worship together. I mean, it's unbelievable how it's infiltrating. And I can say this from our own experience here. We've had young adults here at League Street, so college age around is what we kind of call our young professional or young adults. Is that college age? They may not be on college, but you know what I'm talking about. That have come to League Street saying, we want to come to class here because we're looking for something more. And that's, I mean, it's pretty amazing. And so, yeah, I mean, you're right. It's eventually, if something is pushed on you every day, day after day, you're going to get exhausted from it, regardless of what that is. And these people, these heads, or whatever we want to call them, government or whatever, they forget that these young minds have exactly that, young minds. And who is more curious? What part of the human species is more curious than a young human mind? So yeah, they're geared from the moment they come out of the womb to think what's best for them. You got a newborn baby that's hungry, guess what? They're going to cry, right? And they learn that, that's how they communicate, right? So, but then you get to that stage where they're like 4 or 5, and we've all had the children that they will say the old joke, man, they ask 400 questions a day and they won't stop, right? Well, that's never going to stop. They're always going to want to know more. They're always going to be searching for the answers. And so I'm not surprised. And I agree with Polka I've got a lot of hope for youth just because I see how fast they're coming to know God. So, but, hey, Polka, real quick, we want to ask you, and then we'll let you go. And you don't have to give specifics or anything like that, but, this podcast is the Burning Out Bush, and we do talk about the times in ministry that were tough. And do you remember a single moment or maybe a couple moments throughout 36 plus years of ministry where you thought maybe you were close to, man, I just don't know that I can do this anymore. I mean, I'm tired of dealing with people, or I'm tired of feeling this way, or whatever that may be. Is there a specific thing that comes to mind, and how close were you, and maybe what was it quickly that kept you from actually pulling the trigger?
Yeah, I was at a church with some really good leaders,
yep,
and a couple that were really, really bad.
Yep.
And 2 of the elders they were not qualified to serve as shepherds in the Lord's church.
Yep.
But they were named that. And they were a constant drag. They had eventually more than 100 members left because of those 2 men. I'd finally one day, I just said, I can't do this anymore. I cannot come to worship in this congregation with this leadership. And I even went in on a Sunday night. I called all the elders together. And I sat down and I said, I can't be here anymore. These 2 men have decimated this church.
Yeah.
And I said, it's not their church and it is not your church. And if you study in Revelation about the candlesticks being removed from those churches, I said, I'm not sure that God hasn't removed our candlestick in this church.
Whew.
And I cannot any longer in good conscience worship here, not just be a minister here, but I can't even worship in this church. I'm tendering my resignation effective immediately. And I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I can't do this anymore. And had it not been for those mentors that I already had in my life elsewhere, I would have been gone. I would have been mowing lawns, putting roofs on. I mean, I could have done whatever. And they talked me down out of the tree after several weeks. And I was called back by the same group of men, minus the two that resigned 6 months later, and we had long talks. And I said, no longer will I be who I once was.
Yeah.
I told them I can't be that person anymore. I can't be quiet. If there's truth that needs to be said, I'm going to say the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to tell you what I believe. And I'm going to tell you what I understand Scripture to teach. And I'm not going to be quiet any longer. Yeah. We're not going to talk the things that we've talked, and we're not going to do the things that we've done. We're going to be a church that is getting out and meeting and seeing the needs of our members and taking care of them. And if you want me to come back here, this is the way it will be. Yep. And that's not me exerting my authority and telling you that I'm going to be the boss. I'm just telling you, if we're going to work together, it's got to be within these confines. Yep. And it's going to have to be God directed or we can't do it. It took me a long time to get over and past and beyond all of those hurts. And I truly was ready to just be gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just grateful. Had I not had those mentors in my life that I went and sat with, I remember one day I just outside a school building, I saw one, we sat down and he prayed for me on the park bench because I was done. Yeah. I mean, I was done. And that was God in his providence, because I had encouraged that relationship through the years to continue, that God knew where I was and sent who I needed to say, no, you're not alone. Okay. Just like Elijah, I'm the only one who hasn't bowed his knee. No, you're not. Just quit acting like that. And I needed to hear that. No, you're not. There's a lot of people who are going through the same things that you're going through. This is Satan's ploy. You don't have to do what you're doing where you are. You don't have to do that. Yeah. So quit doing it. And so luckily, not luck, that sounds a little godless almost, providentially, because of earlier decisions, God was able to shake me back awake and say, they're not denying you. Quit worrying about that. Yeah. You be who you need to be and let me handle the rest. Yeah. I've put people in your life. You be grateful for this. And so I'm like, yes, I can acknowledge that. And I see the future, the hope, the relationship, how it changed. Yeah. And I think that's why Josh and I, through the years, it's regardless of how sometimes we've disagreed with some things.
Yes, we have.
And there's been a couple of times it's even been heated, but it was less than 24 hours before, if I made a mistake, I'd say, I'm sorry. I don't want to say this way. I love you. I appreciate you. And at the end of the day, I want you telling me the truth. I want you to say, this is what you need to hear.
Yeah.
And Josh has said that to me a few times, and I feel like I've said that to Josh a few times. So,
yeah, a lot. And I needed it.
And that's the hope.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's going to keep us faithful to the end. This is not, all those analogies. This is not a sprint. I mean, this is a marathon. And I'm not a long distance runner naturally, so I'm just, again, grateful that mentors, I don't know. I can't say it enough that God puts providentially the right people in our life at the right time.
Yeah.
If we're willing to trust him and believe that God is the one doing it.
That's right. That's right. I remember it was during COVID. That was a high pressure situation for any ministry. And we had a day like that Poca described, and we left the building angry at each other, and I got home and I'm just in my own feelings. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to bed like this. I'm not going to bed thinking about this all night. And I texted Holly, his wife, and I said, don't warn him, but I just want you to know I'm coming over to knock on the door. And she's like, are you sure? I knock on the door, Poca answered, and he looks at me, and I could just tell on his face. He's like, oh, just let it be. But it was like, man, I don't want to go to bed angry, and so we sat in his living room and talked, and man, but that's what brothers do. We bicker, we fight, and at the end of the day, we love on each other. And that's the great thing about it and how this works. But, man, this show really turned into like mentorship, have thick skin, great things. I've loved that it went this direction. So, but Poca, I love you, man. And thank you for coming on this with us. And you were an amazing guest, and appreciate it. And so yeah, thank you for doing this. Hope you had a good time. I know I had a great time. And Rick,
yeah, it's good.
You didn't get tired this one?
Not as tired. I'm always tired.
I told him no more eating before we do podcasts because he gets into a coma.
And it was great stuff too. That's the worst part.
Yeah. So
no,
anyway.
I'm good. Thank you.
Well, man, we love you, Poca. Thank you for being here with us, man.
Appreciate you guys, and God bless what you're doing. And I know he will, and a lot of lives that you guys are going to touch through this. And I'm just glad you guys have the wisdom and the insight to take off and run with it.
I appreciate that, man. We really
Rick,
do
appreciate you too, brother. I know we don't know each other like Josh and I do, but I'm sure grateful that I've gotten to know you, and we'll be doing a lot more together.
For sure. Likewise, man. Thank you.
All right, brother. Thanks. See ya.
Yep. All righty. Bye.
Man, that was great with Arpoika. Thank you for suggesting him and inviting him. That was really good. As always, my brain is processing. So, what was your biggest takeaway from that?
Yeah, one of the differences between me and Rick is that he's a processor, and I'm like, I try to eat it, process it, and spit it back out at the same time, which is not a good trait. No. I admire you for taking time to do that, but I really think there are two key aspects of this that we just mentioned to close this out. One is mentorship and how important it is to the life of a minister. Mm-hmm. They're not just someone that's going to tell you how you should do ministry. Mm-hmm. They're going to be someone to tell you how to survive ministry. Yep. And there is a survival aspect because there's so much given to you emotionally, and which leads me into the second point. You got to have thick skin. You got to have thick skin, especially in youth ministries. I'll say it. I don't know. This isn't to knock anybody or anything, but youth ministers for such a long time have been the throwaway ministry position because we can just get another guy to come play with our youth group. That's not all youth ministers do. There's so much there. I hope you heard, for those who may be watching, your congregate, you're an elder or whatever, I hope you heard in the conversation about how much men in our lives impacted us to do what we've ended up doing. Yeah. Regardless if they were youth ministers or not, it was someone who took the time to be with us in that youth state that really propelled us to be where we are today. So
for sure,
that was my big takeaway.
Yeah, the mentoring was a huge thing for me as well, and I had to shut my mic that time. So
yes, I'm not the only one.
No, but I think mentoring goes both ways. Yeah. And started to think about, there have been seasons where I didn't have clear mentors, and those are always the loneliest. And so the need to continue to find and cultivate those relationships, but also the need to be a mentor. Yep. And to pay attention to the folks in my life who I can encourage, I can help support and strengthen.
That's right.
And so, it goes both ways. And I just love hearing his heart for camp and
Yep.
young people, and the way he's able to still support that while doing, kind of the single minister and church role. He's got another guy there, right?
No, he's the only one right now.
He's the only
Well, yes, he does. So they've got an associate minister, but really, what he does is he just preaches every once in a while and
Yeah.
he teaches. So
Okay.
yeah. But he's doing preaching and youth ministry still
Man,
in his current.
That's awesome.
You wear a lot of hats when you're a part of smaller
For sure.
congregations. That's for sure. But he's made for it.
Yep. Well, good
So-
deal. I think that's probably all the time we have for today. But yeah, we're going to keep the conversation about youth ministry going on our next episode. And I hope that you have enjoyed this talk with Arpoika, and more is coming.
That's right. Hey, just a quick scripture to leave you guys with today. Matthew 11:28. I think all of us know it. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. I think that this is often the best place to start when you're, feeling the burnt out feeling that you have. This is because we try to carry things way too long.
Yep.
Is why we start to feel burnt out, and Jesus never shames needing rest. He was a pro at it. We've talked about this before. So rest. Find a mentor that you can rest in,
Yeah.
and seek advice. But what a great episode. Appreciate you two putting all this together, and thanks for listening and watching.
I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, me too. See ya.
And with that, we've come to the end of another fiery episode of Burning Out Bush. We hope today's discussion sparked some thoughts and maybe even a little bit of inspiration for you. Before you go tend to your own metaphorical bushfire, we've got a few small requests. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe or follow button on your podcast platform of choice. It ensures you never miss a spark from us. Also, a 5-star review goes a long way in helping other folks find our little corner of the podcast world. Take a moment to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can follow the latest flare-ups and announcements by following us on social media. Find us on all platforms by searching for Burning Out Bush Podcast. Do you have a burning secret, a professional meltdown, or a story about truly hitting rock bottom that you want to share? Well, we want to hear it. Fill out our totally anonymous form, and your story might be featured in a future segment where we read and discuss listener-submitted workplace woes and career cataclysms. You can find the form at our website, burningoutbush.com. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next time when we fire up a whole new conversation on burning